not, you don't enjoy tea and you enjoy coffee, they will create multimodal form of transportation, MMTs. Just to tell you a simple thing that your second problem is leaving too many gaps in your findings. You presume that the reader will read on his own, that this particular data will wait, we will come out with a second. This is a common problem in in publications. You have one set of data, Shivika will use it for, right, X publication, right, Poonam will use it for second presentation. In the first, Shivika is the first author, in the second, Poonam is the first author, same data compartmentalized into 10 publications. Why? Because you are not this single data, you are using multiple times by slicing it. Third, you presume that the reader will read on his own. My friends from chemistry may be there, following the Boyle's law, following derivations arrive. Third law of thermodynamics applied for stubble burning. Oh, confused. What is third law? The author will have to first find out. The reader will have to first find out. You are taxing him too much. That's the third problem they found out in this research paper. Fourth, over-reliance on pool of data. Over-reliance. Please remember, government reports or high-profile reports typically take 3 to 4 months to compile, another 6 to 8 months for analysis of data, also maybe 1 or 2 weeks or months for analysis of data, half a month or 1 month for its presentation. So that means the data which you see on a government website will be at least 8 to 10 months old. But you rely on it, because for lack of something else you rely on it. And last, over dependence on technology. So these are the 6 problems they identified in the top ranked journals, top ranked publications, and they called it as mismanagement of the data. I'll skip part of it. Okay, this is, again I skip, this I have come to. Okay, just to recapitulate 6-7 principles. First, define your purpose. Second, identifying your author, your audience. Third, well prepared for the venue, unlike me, right, because I depended too much on my team, right. Searching for appropriate material to make a presentation, and then appropriate use of audio visuals, and last is ready to make changes as per the needs of the author. Okay, I already highlighted, but I will like to highlight it again. How to start? One I mentioned was provocative question. Second was powerful quote. You could start with a quote. Third is starting with a story. Fourth is coming out with a visual. Fifth is humorous anecdote. Sixth is making a boast that after the presentation you will all be rich. Why not? Why not? Right? Oh, कहते ना कि sometimes in my class, yes, young lady, it happens, right? So sometimes after my class, my students used to say, "Sir, आपने क्या पढ़ाया वो तो नहीं समझ आया, पर मजा आ गया." Right? So that is also another way of, right? So, bold promise. And then challenge. I pose a question. I seek your answers. And in final, the personal connection. Starting with a presentation, something like this. Don't worry about the content, right? I am as ignorant as you are on this topic. That instills confidence in the participant. He is just one of us. Okay? Okay. Yes. This is one of the things to realize once you are making a presentation. I have called it as art and science of ensuring my audience attention, and I've made it blinking so that your attention is captured here. A wonderful way. It may not have any content, but still your curiosity is there. That why is it blinking? And what have I written? Nothing. I have only said how to get an audience attention and lead them to act. Have I not served my purpose? All of you are keenly looking at it. Am I right? So without saying anything, I have ensured your rapt attention. What does it say? I have already spoken. How to make an eye contact, how and where to stand, how to gesture. All these things are fairly simple. But in this whole PPT, just lining one line, I have ensured your physical and emotional presence in my class. Life is like that. You don't have to do things which others are doing. You may do the same things, but in a different manner. Okay. And look at the last word. What I have said? How to put power in PowerPoint. I played with words, nothing else. Okay. Few of the and I think with experience you will realize it. Your PPT should be as abbreviated as possible, as few slides as possible, as less content as possible. Because in a presentation, you have to decide. Do you want the reader to spend all his energy on reading the PPT or on assimilating what you are saying? You have to decide. All of us create a cluttered presentation. Please remember, span of attention of any participant in a seminar is or in a lecture is 45 to 50 minutes. Similarly, your span of attention on a PPT is not more than 1 or 2 minutes. So contain that, ensure that much amount only which a person can read in 1 or 2 minutes. Even if I run this PPT for 5 minutes, that means for rest 3 minutes he will focus on what you are saying. Don't make him read too much, because he has to assimilate it also. And what can be better way to grab the attention than images? Use images. Then a question normally is asked, or you will be confused on what should be the background of my presentation. What should be the content? Other than the content, what should be the color? So there are no hard and fast rules here. But please remember, using a color pattern is as important as the content. Some of the colors are staid colors, about which neutral colors, about which nobody is bothered. But some of the colors have a religiosity factor. They may be liked by some and they may be disliked by some. Am I right? And your color must match with the theme of your presentation. You are talking of sustainable development, ideally your color pattern should be related to it. And you come out with a dark red or, right? The whole purpose is lost. Because it lacks aesthetics. Again, and the question comes, should you have a uniform pattern? Very good. Because the person's perceptions start that background, I need not focus on the background, this is the color pattern which will follow in all. Subconsciously, you are clear. But what is the drawback? What is the offside? That there is no divergence. Too much monotony. So these are the things you need to, right? Same way about the fonts, formatting. Should it be uniform? Should be using Arial everywhere, Tohana everywhere, whichever. Or should you play around with it? Right? Okay. How much more time I have, doctor? 5 minutes? More? We are done. Okay. Thank you then. See, I'm very flexible. Yeah, last 2-3 minutes. Any questions, any comments you have? Anything? Are you comfortable in anything in the program?
Basically a time series plot of the bi-weekly sales. So as we can see that in this graph, most of the sales by weekly basis are lying between 40 million to 50 million. So it's basically a trend that most of the weekly sales lie between 40 million to 50 million, but there are certain weeks whereby the sales fluctuate very much. So we can keep this we need not study all these factors where the sales are lying between 40 million to 50 million, but we can investigate further into the areas why the sales peak up in these weeks only. So if we see the weekly sales range, the maximum sales which are recorded in any week are the 3.82 million, whereas the minimum weekly sales are only 209.99 thousand. So we can see that there is a very high sales range which is said to be as high as 90%. So we can further investigate into the reasons. We can look in this week and in this week in particular why the sales are maximum in this week and why the sales are minimum in this week only. So basically this can be our reference points for further policy making, that if the sales are highest in this week, then what factors are being favorable in this week only that it has recorded the highest sales, and what are the limitations in these weeks, whether there are some holidays, whether the stores were not operational, or either there were some any other anomalies that has led to the minimum sales in those weeks.
So basically this slides represents the sum of weekly sales. So basically in the last month we have seen there is an increase in the sales, and if we see that if we start from January, so I think the last month represents the highest sales. And when we talk about the weekly sales during holidays, so firstly the Super Bowl, the festival, that represents that there was increase in the sales, followed by the Labor Day, and again followed by the Thanksgiving, and last was the Christmas.
So if we go back to this slide again, we can see that basically in the months of January, the sales are on the lower end. It can be highlighted that there is a shift where after the festivals the sales go on the lower side, basically because there is a slump, because most of the people buy during the festivals only, and after that the sentiments generally shift and people generally return to their daily lifestyles. So we can focus on the month of January. How can we bring people back to the stores? Like we can give them the bills where at the end of the bill we can give them some cash back, which will be valid for only next 2 months or next 3 months, which can bring them back to the stores in the month of January and as well as the February. Also we can see that during the months like in the uh, neglecting this peak, we can see that the months of June, July, and August are generally considered months where there are no more festivals, there are no festivities, and people generally continue with their daily routines. So we can focus on these 3 to 4 months. We can analyze that why this in the month of June, why the sales peaked at this particular point in the year of 2012, and we can basically try to replicate the model in other years as well, that we can increase the sales during the months of June, July, and August. And the last one is the store level analysis. So there were basically 45 stores included in the analysis, and where the 5 stores exceeded the 3.5 million in the weekly sales and 14 stores fell below the 0.5 million. So we can analyze the factors in detail, like the where the stores have exceeded the sales of 3.5 million, whether it were because of the location of the store. We can study the other factors, like where the sales were below 0.5 million, what were the reasons, whether the stores were not operational during that period. We can study the layout of both the stores, whether there is a standardized layout followed in all the stores or the layout differ according to the location of the store. So that factors can be considered with regard to the store level analysis. So that's it. Thank you.
Feedback. The explanation part was good, quite elaborated. Can you go back to the previous slide?
So we will take for the visuals. The visuals are not good.
So this, as you mentioned, highlighting that the highest and the lowest can be separately distinguished by the colors, maybe. I'll go back to the previous slide. Here, again, the colors are not clearly visible to us.
We basically try to highlight the month with the highest sales in this slide.
That I thought that can also be just a suggestion that can also be done by some other marker,
Yeah.
maybe something on the top, so that at least the colors, whatever is being, see the grey ones is not visible at all from here. We have to focus very hard to see what exactly it is. As sir mentioned in my presentation also, the indent is also not clearly visible here.
Yeah.
So that is one part that we both can improve.
Yeah.
And if they can go back to the last slide, please.
Can I jump in and add
Sure.
on that slide? So I think there's an issue with your data too, right? You got month number
Yes.
12 for 2012 as well.
November and December.
So you may want to look into that. So I think because there shouldn't be any data for 2012 November and December, right?
Last slide. You can see you have the full stop in the first sentence and not in the last two sentences.
Just edited here.
The spacing between, just a minute observation, the spacing between all three, if you increase the line gap to 1.5
Yeah.
meters, visibility or the readability will be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we agree with that.
Thank you.
So that tells that you have a library science. And no, that's a really good point. If you, I mean, look at this slide, right? You have all the space down there. So yeah, just to 1.5 will make it better. One thing I would like to pick up, I think that was for most of you. If we go to next slide,
So the previous one.
just any for example, this one or even the bar chart. So I think bar chart has legend as well. Next one. Yeah. So please stick to the design principles, right?
On the right side.
Title in the middle. Legend move to the right, right? So that way we are at least following those conventions that we expect when it comes to visualizations, right? Otherwise you will deviate. Now we have seen problem with Canva because you upload in different applications, it produces differently. Right? And again, if you feel that the titles are not displayed properly in Power BI, you're using PowerPoint. Throw in a text box. Put title there.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, but play around with the like ear, so move that to right, right?
Okay, sir.
Anybody thoughts how would you do that? How would you move legend to right? So there's options Power BI. Otherwise, I use snip tool, because what happens with Power BI, sometimes it's not coming up properly. I will zoom in on the legend and I will snip it. Then just put it on the PowerPoint, right? Because yeah, that's kind of a limitation we have. You can't just copy and paste the visual, right? Let's go to slide 1 then. Let's start from start. Okay. I think yeah, title is not centered, right? Usually when you put the names, either go in left corner, right corner. But yeah, so next one. Yes, should have an agenda, right? So you can add that. I like the narrative building from here because you have those very muted gray color guidelines in the back, right? So the way you said, okay, the sales is just between this range. And however, we have these peaks. But then you kind of said, okay, we can investigate. But I think those are the peaks when you have Super Bowl and the other, like Thanksgiving, Christmas. So perhaps you can label that actually, right? So that way, whatever you have in data, so you can, that can be investigated, right? So then you can kind of make that clear on the graph itself, right? Okay, let's go next one. Again, like you use different color for minimum, right? Perhaps red toned background, that's minimum sales. Yeah, fonts are different too. Yeah. And the other interesting thing you can throw in here, you can put the store number. Okay, the maximum weekly sales are 3.8 million. This is in store number 20. And minimum weekly sales and store number, let's say 5. And now from here we can investigate or start asking questions why that's happening, right? I think we already talked about that. Let's go to the next one. So the other thing you notice, if we go back to the previous visual, that's kind of left aligned, right? Go to the next one, it is kind of centered, I believe. No, still left aligned, but really big size. And once you took the snip, we can see those tools on the right hand side, right? So do a bit of trimming, use crop in Excel, right? To make it a bit more appealing, right? Okay. So there's no kind of rule of thumb. You can have your left aligned or right aligned, but try to kind of maintain the same shape. Otherwise, as soon as it comes to a bigger visual from a smaller one, I'm not sure if it's more important or it's just simply size that's being used as such, right? Let's go to the next one. Yeah, I think we talked about that. So full stop and it's okay. Yeah, next.
That's it.
So that's it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think you guys took some observations, right? So your narrative was good. Talk of why, and some recommendations too. That's nice. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So please take this feedback, right? So I think we would ask you to present at least twice in the coming days. So like tomorrow there's no class, right? Tomorrow you have off. Day after tomorrow, this lecture on ethics. So I will take 1 hour. I will talk about ethics from the European regulation and the Canadian regulation perspective, about the data privacy and the other things, data governance. And I think Sanjeev sir will talk about from the Indian perspective. And our plan is to give you guys a case study. And we may ask you to present your findings. Right? So we haven't decided to report or present. But definitely on last 2 days, you'll have data sets, you'll have kind of mini cases, and work here in your teams, then you present your findings. And the plan is to have at least one case study on, fully focused on Power BI, so they can kind of utilize different functionality, and one on predictive modeling. So that's where the regression and the other bits will come in. So that will capture that. So we still have 15 minutes. So there's another data set which is called wearable devices under week class 7, day 7, right? So I would like you to import that in Power BI. Look into data cleansing, number one. Number two, you should have a relationship between two tables. There are two sheets. One is actual data sheet, and the other one is country information. So in wearable devices, you have company information, device information. For example, if it's can go on a wrist, on your neck, or has a bracelet, and so on. Their prices, where it is manufactured, so that's kind of name of the country, right? Where the device, the company name. So once you import it, please cleanse it. After cleansing, I would like you to create a reference table. In that reference table, we want to have unique company information. So let's see if you can produce that. So import data, cleanse it, create a reference table from sheet number 1 that has wearable devices information. And the reference table will contain unique numbers, right? Unique company information. So name that table as company info or company information, the reference table. It should contain the company state, company name, then company country and country ID. So company name, company state, company country and company ID. Because the data has errors, right? So please cleanse it first before creating a reference table. create a new table, reference table, and run that unique company information. You can go to page structure. So what's happening here? You see for these null values, we have data for this. So in this particular case, we can leave it as it is. Because if you insert let's say 0, it's going to see we are actually okay. Yeah, you can't please. Unless you want to like format, perhaps you can see let's say Apple Watch. Do I have Apple Watch somewhere else? So we can kind of set that value and start with this. You look at this stuff at your own place. Look at the devices. Leave country. You don't want to do anything with country. Devices. I said cleanse variable devices. Don't worry about GDP. Yeah, so let's cleanse devices. So guys, don't worry about the country information, population, GDP. Don't worry about that. We are cleansing devices. So that we got set. company reference table, you want to drop all the duplicates. Now the problem is, let's say we have few entries from Apple. So it could be Apple US, Apple Europe, right? So if you go by company name, you will end up dropping the non-unique entries. Yes, Apple as a company, but they have kind of listed two different locations because the product may be sold from a different place. So how do you go about that? We don't have a unique identifier here. So we use the slicer. You mean a visualization? A filter. Well, you have so many companies, right? So you put filter for each, and there's so many countries. So sometimes you don't have a primary key, you can create it. So let's say if our interest in this particular analysis is based on company and country. I can merge those two columns, company name hyphen country name. So then if let's say Apple, we have several entries, Apple US, we can just drop that column, right? Not drop column, we can remove duplicates using that column, right? So in this case, you need to create a primary key to work with. So let's kind of do it. So what I'm trying to say here,